Alright, ladies and gentlemen, you have made it to Unit 9, which is our last unit. And this unit is talking all about logical arguments. So, how to argue logically. The first part that we're going to talk about is called, they're called if-then statements, and it's just talking about some reasoning and how you think through things. Okay, an if-then statement is just simply that. It's two parts of a sentence, basically. You start it off with if, so if this thing happens, then this thing happens, okay? Now, if is the part, like if you think about science, you think about the hypothesis, right? That if this thing happens, then the then part is called the conclusion of it. So if this happens, then this will happen, okay? And so they give an example here in your notes. It says, if a man lives in California, then he lives in the United States of America, okay? Which makes sense because California is part of the United States of America, right? So, if he lives in California, then he lives in the United States of America. Just that simple. Okay, now, whenever you have if and then statements, you can then rewrite those to be like one sentence. So typically what you would say is you would say all, and you would put the if part of the sentence after all. Then you would finish it with all of whatever the if is are, and then whatever the then is. So like where it says here, it says you can rewrite it as all men who live in California live in the United States. Okay, so there you go. So all men who live in California live in the United States. That is the conclusion that you can draw from this. Okay, so now you got to be careful that you don't flip these things around like it says in the notes, right? If you flipped it around and said all men who live in the United States live in California, that obviously is not true. So you got to be careful the way you word these things. Alright, so let's look at the example that we have here. Okay, it was midway through page 1 of Unit 9. It says, if a dog is a puppy, then that dog is less than 1 year old. Okay, so let's talk about what the two parts are, right? So remember the hypothesis is the if part, okay, the question part. So if a dog is a puppy, okay, so that's the hypothesis. So the hypothesis is the if part. So if a dog is a puppy, then the conclusion is what happens then. So then that dog is less than 1 year old. Okay, so the conclusion is then the dog is less than 1 year old. Okay, hypothesis is the if, conclusion is the then. Okay, so just like you would, you kind of think if this thing happens, I'm going to conclude that this happens. So conclusion means then this happens. Okay. Now the last part to what you would do is you would rewrite the sentence. Okay, so let's redo that. So, and basically what you do is you're going to take the if, you're going to start this with all, okay, and then we're going to go with the part of the if. So all puppies, okay, all puppies then are less than 1 year old. Hopefully you can hear my dog scratching over here. Alright, so there you go. So that's what you can conclude from this. This is you're rewriting your sentence, right? So if a dog is a puppy, then that dog is less than 1 year old. Okay, so we can rewrite that as all puppies are less than 1 year old. Okay, and make sure that you that what you're writing is actually true. So sit and make sure you think through that and make sure that's a true statement. Okay, that's really all there is to the if and then statements. Okay, you got the hypothesis, you've got the conclusion, and then you can rewrite it in a way that makes sense. All right, so take a look. You got a couple, try these. See if you can do these by yourself. We may not have exactly the same answers, but we'll come out pretty close. So check them out and see what happens. Alright, so let's take a look at the first try this. So it says, if you eat a Chicago-style hot dog, then you eat a Vienna beef product. Okay, and I realize it says it a little differently, obviously, in the writing. Then he eat a Vienna beef product. It's just a typo. So if you eat a Chicago-style hot dog, then you eat a Vienna beef product. Okay, so I'm just going to underline on here. Okay, so the hypothesis. Hopefully you got that the hypothesis. Okay, if you eat a Chicago-style hot dog, there's the hypothesis. Okay, what's the conclusion? If you eat a Chicago-style hot dog, you conclude then you eat a Vienna beef product. Okay, so there you go. There's your hypothesis. There is your conclusion. All right, so now how do we rewrite this? Okay, we can rewrite it this way. All Chicago-style hot dogs are Vienna beef products. There you go. Okay, so there is your rewriting. Okay, and hopefully does that make sense? All Chicago-style hot dogs are Vienna beef products. Okay, so if you eat a Chicago-style hot dog, then you eat a Vienna beef product. So if we rewrite that, all Chicago-style hot dogs are Vienna beef products. There you go. Okay, it's just that simple. All right, so let's take a look at the last one. All right, so here's your last try this. It says, if a student attends a 4-year university, then the student has passed Algebra 2 in high school. Okay, so let's take a look. So what's our hypothesis? If a student attends a 4-year university, okay? And then our conclusion, then the student has passed Algebra 2 in high school. All right, there you go. Okay, so we got our hypothesis, we have our conclusion. All right, so let's take a look now at how to rewrite it. Okay, so all, you can put 4-year university students. Okay, let's do that. 4-year university students. Okay, have passed Algebra 2 in high school. There you go. Okay, now you could have worded that a little bit differently if you wanted to, like if you'd have said all students who attend a 4-year university. Okay, you could have put it that way, but I kind of like this way. All 4-year university students have passed Algebra 2 in high school. Okay, there you go. So it's just rewriting the sentence in kind of a shorter way, summarizing it just a little bit. All right, that's all there is to if and then statements. Let me know if you have any questions.